Okay, 2022 A-level 11th question. Assume that the cross price elasticity of demand between rice and bread is 3.0. An increase in the price of rice causes the demand for bread to rise by 75%. Which change in rice prices has brought this about? So children, here they mention cross price elasticity and the percentage. To calculate the cross price elasticity, you have to know the percentage formula. This is the percentage formula. Cross price elasticity of demand equal percentage change in demand divided by percentage change in price. So, cross price elasticity is minus 3.0 and percentage change in demand is 75%. So, when you compute that, you can have the price is 25%. So, that is the percentage. But here the answers they give the amounts. So, you have to calculate which answer that gives the 25%. So, I took that fifth answer, that is the cross price elasticity of demand equal 25 divided by 100. That means 100 to 125. That means from 100 to 125, from that 25 it increase, by 25 it increase. So to the percentage it is 25. Okay, that is the way, take the 25%. Then 12th one, the market equilibrium price for wheat flour is 350 rupees per kilogram and the market equilibrium quantity is 30 million kilograms. Which of the following policies would create an excess demand of wheat flour under this condition? So here you should have the excess demand. So which answer gives the excess demand? First answer we'll see. Imposing a price ceiling of 330 rupees per kilogram. This is the price ceiling. We can call it as also maximum price. So equilibrium price 350, equilibrium quantity 30. Then the price ceiling, the maximum price is 330. This imposed by the government for consumer support. When 330, you can see where the place that price ceiling intersect the demand curve. This is the place that price ceiling, maximum price, intersect the demand curve. For that, the quantity, we call it quantity demand, QD. Then the supply curve, where the place the price ceiling, maximum price, intersect, the place is the QS, quantity supply. So you can see that quantity supply is less than the quantity demand. The quantity demand is greater. So QS to QD is the excess demand. So when government impose the price ceiling, we can have the excess demand. Then 13th question. Given a downward sloping demand curve and an upward sloping supply curve, a unit tax on a commodity will. This is the unit tax. You can see when there is a unit tax, the supply curve shift to the leftward. Parallel to the S1, the S2 you can see. That is the unit tax. So, before the tax, the equilibrium price is P1 and equilibrium quantity you can see here. Then the supply curve shift to leftward. After that, the equilibrium price is P2 and the equilibrium quantity is Q1. You should have the tax. So the government tax revenue. You should look at the new equilibrium quantity where the place the before supply curve intersect. So this is the new equilibrium quantity. This is the place, this is the before supply curve, and this is the place that before supply curve intersect the new equilibrium quantity. So at that time the price you have to mark. So P3 to P2 is the government tax revenue. So this area is the government tax revenue. So here you can see before the tax we should learn about the consumer surplus. This is the P1, equilibrium price before the tax. Above the equilibrium price triangle is the consumer surplus. This is the consumer surplus triangle. Then below the equilibrium price triangle is the producer surplus. So here this is the producer surplus triangle. After the tax, this area goes to the government. So it's not included for the consumer surplus or producer surplus. Then here we cannot take the after Q1 because this is our new quantity. So after that we cannot take. That means we lost this triangle. So we call this area is the dead weight loss. Then this is the consumer's tax burden P1 to P2 and P1 to P3 is the producer's tax burden. Then after that you can see this is the consumer's price received by the consumer. So above that triangle is the consumer surplus after the tax. Then P3 price is received for the producers. Below that triangle is the producer surplus. So you can see the consumer surplus and producer surplus reduce after the tax. Then again the supply curve shift to leftward because this is a tax. The price we can see raise the price by less than tax. P3 to P2 is the tax, but the price increase P1 to P2. This is the new equilibrium price, this is the before equilibrium price. So P1 to P2 the price increase, but tax is P3 to P2. That means raise the price by less than the tax. The tax is greater than the price increasement. This is the price increasement P1 to P2, but tax you can see P3 to P2. Then next question. The diagram above shows market demand and supply curves for corn. Suppose that the government wants to introduce an effective minimum price to support corn farmers. What should the government do to maintain an effective minimum price of OP2? So this is the minimum price P2. The government imposed support for the farmers, that means suppliers. So you should understand where the places the supply and demand curve intersect the minimum price. So this is the P2 minimum price, this is the demand curve, this is the place that intersect the demand curve, the minimum price P2. So for that the quantity Q1, that means the demand curve intersect means this is a QD, the demand at that price, that means minimum price, the demand. So P2 minimum price where the place the supply curve intersect. This is the supply curve, this is the P2 minimum price, this is the place the supply curve intersect. So at that time the quantity Q3, that means the supply. So you can see this is the demand, this is the supply. Supply is greater than the demand, that means excess supply. You can see the government has to take the purchase the excess supply, that means Q1 to Q3 amount. The government has to purchase by quantity Q1 to Q3.